Good evening. Thank you for joining me for my video on cultural competency and being an educator and what that means to me. Being culturally competent in education is understanding the challenges my students are facing culturally, demographically, and unfortunately sometimes racially, and how that impacts them in order for me to facilitate the highest quality education possible to them. I want to be the educator that takes the time to learn my students' culture and understanding their lives, even away from the classroom. Being able to fully understand what impacts them and how they live their home lives and what they may be under pressure from, for instance, financial insecurity, hygiene insecurity, food insecurities, and how I could best reach them with the resources in order to battle those things, in order for them to be able to come to school in their academic setting and give their best each day. Immigration and critical race theory are two things that are critical, I believe, in our future of education. Immigration and how we implement the learning of the English language to our children who come in not having it as their first language, and understanding that we have to implement their home language within our classrooms and make it their own personal world of transition in order to help it be more smooth in their academic settings. It encourages them to be continued motivated learners, so to speak, and helping them understand that you appreciate them and recognize their willingness to try, and you want to help them in their academic journey by incorporating their language and helping them. And the appreciation that makes all the difference. Critical race theory is another curriculum that's being introduced and banned in several states, which informs students of the African American and other people of color's plight within this country, and how the systemic systems have been set up, so to speak, against them for them not to succeed in various areas, causing traumatic events and trauma behaviors that has exponentially affected those communities. I feel that you have to understand where you've been in order to come back and to escape from it fully, and to understand the damage done in order to begin building those relationships has to be an empathy and a mutual respect. And I would like to have my classroom symbolically use understanding each other's culture and understanding the differences and appreciating those things to be a pivotal way to build and bridge those relationships, and have future humans who appreciate each other, and to eradicate those past traumas and future communities that can be built with that understanding. Our past traumas and experiences can be spread upon each other, that we have to teach our students that that cannot happen, and that our one experience did not dictate cast that appearance or that judge that one instance and lean that on a whole community of people. To judge one another by character alone is social justice that can only be built further into the world we want to see. I want to have my room be a progressive discipline policy that allows teachable moments as well as forgivable incidents. I believe this allows our children to learn from each other and builds an intrinsically motivated student who will be culturally unbiased. I plan to keep my classroom as a living microcosm and a changing and continually evolving as students come in, as they're necessary for them to be what they need to be accomplished, making sure my classroom is ran on a foundation of key principles of valuing all students' cultures and diversity, taking responsibility to educate myself and each other, and be aware of each other's differences and appreciating them, and keeping an open mind and attitude towards each other and celebrate those differences, and not just focusing on the similarities, but loving the differences that we have in each other as well. Building our personal development through cultural assessments and understanding our cultural competency is essential in us as educators, and understanding our students and making sure we're continuously giving them the highest education that they deserve, highest quality. Fair and is not always equal, as we know that. So sometimes we have to go that extra mile for other students that we may not have with our American students, just in order for them to get that same equal quality education. This also is the complete aforementioned assessments are meant on a wonderful site for the National Center for Cultural Competence at Georgetown University. They offer the same aforementioned assessments in order for you to build and recognize who you are as an educator and where you stand and where you may need to build and develop, and also where your students may be, depending on the grade level that you are, if they're mature enough to understand these assessments and take them in account and do their own self-evaluations, and to build on a class morale on an equal footing, and to build that classroom culture of mutual respect. I would love my future classroom to have the cultural inclusivity of my room to celebrate each other's individuality. For example, the class of higher expanding of African Americans, Latin, and possibly a few Jewish students, to recognize all the celebrations within December, not just American Christmas, but Hanukkah, and possibly the other Latin recognitions throughout the December, like poinsettia flower within the Latin culture, letting know all of them that I recognize and appreciate what they all bring and their value, and for them to educate each other for where they might not have known something about the other, or not have known that about that culture. I feel like a lot of times exposure is all the difference between the prejudice and stereotypes that cloud our students' judgment upon each other and how they handle each other. I can establish and connect these relationships with the buy-in, and invent circumstances where they are interact and discover each other's similarities, and draw upon their strengths in each other and respect their differences. I want to create teachable moments for character building as well as the structure for academics. And I think this is the sweet spot within as educators, where we could do both at the same time, not only helping build our students who are the future of tomorrow, but the future world we have longed to see for ourselves, with full equality, one of peace within itself and within one another, no matter the belief system or the moral conundrums that may arise, and we know will often arise. For me, I am an educator first, and I want to be the light that my faith personally has called me to be, and my faith that my God has told me to, commanded me actually to love, and it's only His job and within His sovereignty to judge. So I'll be focused on educating my students and pushing them to their highest capacity within a whole classroom culture of understanding each other's diversities and respecting them and appreciating them together. Thank you for your time this evening. Good night.